Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church Online. I'm Abhi Janamanchi. My pronouns are he, him, one of the ministers serving this religious community with my colleagues, the Reverends Katie Romano Griffin, Dana Edwards, and Archine Turner. If you're new with us this morning, please let us know in the live chat. If you'd like to stay connected to our community and receive our e-news and other updates, please fill out the newcomer form that's included in the chat. Whether you're joining us today for the first time or you've been with us for a lifetime, you're welcome here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are, whatever your beliefs, gender identity and expression, immigration status, we welcome you. If you've been attending for a while and are interested in joining this religious community as a member, please reach out to our membership and communications coordinator, Nicole Kazi. Our pastoral visitors are an extension of the ministry team. They are available in the chat today to support you. And after the service this morning, we invite members and friends for our virtual coffee hour. You will see a URL link in the chat after the service that will get you there, and we look forward to seeing you and spending some time and getting to know you this morning. I have a few announcements. Our Worship Associate program, which provides regular opportunities for our members to participate in worship, is looking for new members for the new church year. And so, if you're interested and would like to be a part of this wonderful program, please check the e-news or reach out to Fran Flieger or myself. We'd be happy to share more information with you. Please join us next Sunday, May 30th at 1 p.m. on YouTube for our annual Memory Wall dedication as we remember and honor beloved members who passed away this year. In June, we have a few things happening. While Congress will be debating immigration legislation, Cedar Lane will be participating in a major interfaith advocacy initiative led by the Congregation Action Network. The We Are Essential Faith Fast will bring together multi-faith partners and activists from across the nation for a month-long fast at the Lutheran Church of the Reformation on Capitol Hill. Reverend Katie and I are planning to fast there, and any members who can are welcome to join us or can participate in solidarity and witness. Please be on the lookout for more information about how to get involved in our e-news. We also look forward to seeing you on site at Cedar Lane on Wednesday, June 9th at 6 p.m. for a special outdoor flower communion ceremony. The link to RSVP is being posted in the chat and also will be in Friday's e-news. And last but not least, Cedar Lane's annual congregational meeting to elect new trustees and officers to adopt the 21-22 budget and transact the work of the church will be held on Sunday, June 13th at 1 p.m. as a Zoom webinar. The link to register is also being posted in the chat and will be sent to you as an e-blast. It's really good to be back. I am grateful for the time I was accorded, a couple of months for some rest, relaxation, and renewal, and I am deeply grateful for that and feel refreshed and renewed and ready to roll again. So as we gather for worship this morning, we do so remembering our beloved Cedar Lane is located on the traditional land of the Piscataway, Nacotchtank, and Anacostia people, past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have protected it through the generations. We remember those who were enslaved and worked this land without choice or reward. And we remember all who have gone before us, whose vision and labor helped create and sustain this, our beloved religious community. In this spirit, we gather. In this spirit, we worship. Let us now greet and welcome our neighbors in the chat.
Today, we share in a blessing for losers, risk takers, all failures far and wide. Blessed are they who fall in the mud, who jump with gusto and rip the pants, who skin the elbows and bruise the ego, for they shall know the sweetness of risk. Blessed are they who make giant mistakes, whose intentions are good, but impact has injured, who know the hot sense of regret and ask for mercy, for their hearts will know the gift of forgiveness. Blessed are they who have seen a D or an F or a C or any letter less than perfect, who are painfully familiar with the red pen and the labels as less than, for they know the wisdom in the imperfect. Blessed are they who try again, who dust off, who wash up, who extend the wish for peace, who return to sites of failure, who are dogged in their pursuit, for they will discover the secret to dreams. Blessed are they who refuse to listen to the naysayers, for their hearts will be houses for hope. Blessed are they who see beyond the surface of another, for they will be able to delight in the gift of compassion. Blessed are they who stop running the race to help a fellow traveler, who pick up the fallen, who stop for injured life, for they shall know the kindness of strangers. And blessed are they who wildly, boldly abandon winning, for they shall know the path of justice. Good morning. I'm Jared Wilson, the worship associate for today's service. My pronouns are he, him. I'm lighting my chalice in Silver Spring, Maryland. As I read our chalice lighting words, I invite you to share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace.
Hello and good morning, dear ones. It's so good to be with you today. I wanted to tell you about an experience I had recently with my 10-year-old. We decided we were going to draw Roblox Adopt Me animals, and we were going to watch some YouTube videos, and we were going to try our best to make them look just like they do when we play Adopt Me on Roblox. So we tried our hardest to make the best Adopt Me animals we could. But we got really frustrated because even though we followed every single step, they didn't turn out to look just like the way they look when we see them when we're playing our computer game. So let me show you them. I have a penguin that I drew who's penguin-ish. I have a turtle that I drew. He's turtle-ish. And I have a cow that I drew that's cowish. And we had a lot of fun doing this, but it reminded me of a story of a little boy named Ramon who makes some wonderful drawings and how his sister helps him find the beauty in his artwork. Ish by Peter H. Reynolds. Ramon loved to draw. Anytime, anything, anywhere. One day, Ramon was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother, Leon, leaned over his shoulder. Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Ramon could not even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Ramon. He kept trying to make his drawings look right, but they never did. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put down his pencil. I'm done. Marisol, his sister, was watching him. What do you want? He snapped. I was watching you draw, she said. Ramon sneered. I'm not drawing. Go away. Marisol ran away, but not before picking up the crumpled sheet of paper. Hey, come back here with that. Ramon raced after Marisol and up the hall and into her room. He was about to yell, but fell silent when he saw his sister's walls. He stared at the crumpled gallery. This is one of my favorites, Marisol said, pointing. This was supposed to be a vase of flowers, Ramon said, but it doesn't look like one. Well, it looks vase-ish, she exclaimed. Vase-ish. Ramon looked closer. Then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's walls and began to see them in a whole new way. They do look ish, he said. Ramon felt light and energized, thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, loose lines quickly springing out without worry. Ramon once again drew and drew the world around him, making an ish drawing felt wonderful. He filled his journals with tree-ish, house-ish, boat-ish, afternoon-ish, fish-ish, sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw ish feelings too. Peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writing. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling that even ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. Instead, he simply savored it. And Ramon lived ishfully ever after. The end.
My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I am a wildflower reaching for the sun. I am a wildflower reaching for the sun. I am a wildflower reaching for the sun. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I am a pine tree on a mountainside. I am a pine tree on a mountainside. I am a pine tree on a mountainside. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I am a bluebird singing out a song. I am a bluebird singing out a song. I am a bluebird singing out a song. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I am an ancient redwood tree. I am an ancient redwood tree. I am an ancient redwood tree. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go am a pony running in the wind. I am a pony running in the wind. I am a pony running in the wind. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I am a willow swaying in the storm. I am a willow swaying in the storm. I am a willow swaying in the storm. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I am a dolphin swimming in the sea. I am a dolphin swimming in the sea. I am a dolphin swimming in the sea. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down. I rise with the voice of every living thing. I rise with the voice of every living thing. I rise with the voice of every living thing. My roots go down. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down, down into the earth. My roots go down.
Thank you, members of the Children's Choir and Jenny Crane, for that delightful song. Each Sunday, we share the offering plate with a community organization in concert with our mission and ministry. Our offering reminds us that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. We are deeply grateful for the incredible generosity and support of our members and friends throughout this time in support of our mission and ministry and the many community organizations that we partner with in service of our mission. Today's Share the Plate offering will support the Capital Area Immigrants' Rights Coalition, or CARE. CARE is the only nonprofit organization in the DMV region with legal services programs focused exclusively on assisting immigrants, adults, and children detained by ICE in jails and juvenile facilities in DC, Virginia, and Maryland. They average approximately 1,600 each year in our area, out of the nearly 400,000 immigrants who are detained across the US. Through its direct representation in court for detained adults and children, its authoritative research and data program of its Immigration Impact Lab, its volunteer program for visiting detainees in jail, and continued this past year by virtual visits and extended to include social services to families of detainees during the pandemic, its workshops to improve and expand skills of law professionals in immigration law and court representation defense. CARE supports immigrants and helps keep families together. CARE also continues to be a valuable resource to Cedar Lane and our regional congregation action network in generously advising us at no cost as we provide information to immigrants who contact our own immigrant justice ministry team, asking for our help in finding support for their individual needs, as we continue to support Doña Rosa and her family as they transition into community living, and for our advocacy to gain public local government funding for universal representation of our immigrant neighbors. As a pro bono nonprofit, CARE exists entirely through the generous donations, large and small, of organizations and individuals who value its services. So friends, Let us give generously to support this important work. The Share the Plate offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Thank you so much, Rachel and Jasmin, for that beautiful hymn. It's one of my favorites. Each time we gather for worship, we set aside time to expand the caring ministry of this congregation. Together, we recognize the cycles of life and death, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the heart of this religious community. Our hearts are with those whose primary spiritual practice is parenting in a pandemic. We hold in our circle of caring all those who live with grief or chronic pain, with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental illness and addiction, those who care for family members in ill health and who are experiencing job loss and financial insecurity within our Cedar Lane community. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by the violence and calamities in our nation and in our world. We hold in our hearts the people of India who are still in the grips of a COVID surge, especially those in marginalized and rural communities. We hold in our hearts the Palestinian and Israeli people who have a tenuous ceasefire in their region Our hearts are with them as they mourn their dead and begin to process all they have lost. We hold in our hearts the more than 597,000 people who have died from COVID in the United States, the millions who are infected, and those who continue to risk their health and well-being to keep us safe, healthy, fed, and connected. And now I invite you into a moment of prayer and meditation. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. I invite you to feel centered in your space and take a few deep breaths. This meditation is from Richard Gilbert, and it has been adapted slightly. In the midst of the whirling day, in the hectic rush to be, doing, in the frantic pace of life, pause here for a moment. Catch your breath. Relax your body. Loosen your grip on life. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business. Imagine that the picture of our being is never complete. Allow your life to be a work in progress. Don't hurry to mold the masterpiece. Don't rush to finish the picture. Don't be impatient to complete the drawing. From beckoning birth to dawning death, we are in process. And always there is more to be done. Don't let the incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not let that imperfection do not despair that imperfection marks your every day. Do not fear that we are still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can be more than we are. Let us celebrate the power of the incomplete. For life is always unfinished business. As we enter the silence, those who are mourning a loss or marking the anniversary of a loss are invited to rise or to share a loved one's name in the chat, in mourning and in memory.
I'm imperfect, I am flawed, and I know that I'm worth it. I'm imperfect, I am flawed, but I know that I'm worth it. I see the way you look at me, I see the way you judge me. I know that you don't know me, but the look you give still cuts me. Well, I'm imperfect, I am flawed, but I know that I'm worth it. Yeah, I'm imperfect,
Thank you, Jenny Lynn, for that beautiful song, lifting up the glory of imperfection. Mullah Nasruddin was a 13th century Sufi philosopher in Turkey who was known for his wisdom and wit. One day, he was sitting in a tea shop when a friend came excitedly to speak with him. "I'm about to get married, Mullah," his friend stated, "and I'm very excited." "Mullah, have you ever thought of marriage yourself?" Nasruddin replied, "I did think of getting married. In my youth, in fact, I very much wanted to do so. I wanted to find the perfect spouse, so I traveled looking all over for her, first to Damascus, then to Isfahan, and finally to Cairo. There, I found her. She was spiritually deep, graceful, intelligent, and beautiful in every respect, at home in the world and at home in the realms beyond it. I felt I had found the perfect life partner." His friend questioned further, "Then did you not marry her, Mullah?" "Alas," said Nasruddin as he shook his head, "she was unfortunately looking for the perfect husband." So I share this story as a prelude to my reflections on the perils of perfection and perfectionism. What is perfection? What is perfectionism? Perfection is defined as the quality or state of being perfect, a state of being perfect or complete, so that nothing requisite is wanting as perfection in an art or a job or in a system. And perfectionism is a dislike for anything less than perfection. It is more about the need to be perfect, which in this context implies being or getting it right all the time. In her book, Amazing Grace, Kathleen Norris writes, and I quote, "Perfectionism is one of the scariest words I know. It is a marked characteristic of contemporary American culture, a serious psychological affliction that makes people too timid to take necessary risks and causes them to suffer when, although they are done the best they can, their efforts fall short of some imaginary and usually unattainable standard. Internally," she continues, "it functions as a form of myopia, a preoccupation with self-image that can stunt emotional growth. Martha Stewart might be seen as the high priestess of perfection. One dare not let the mask slip, even in one's home, where all is perfect, right down to the last hand-stenciled napkin ring." End of quote. Now, some psychologists say that perfectionism emanates from a fractured sense of self-worth and negatively skewed sense of self-value, from a deep need to be liked, to be needed, to be deemed successful, and in this context, to be praised and envied. Perfectionists tend to take a transactional and conditional approach in life, believing that people would only value them by how much they accomplish, or being appreciated for how busy and overworked they are. Also, perfectionists tend to practice procrastination. Though some of us tend to frame it as a spiritual practice, in reality, it is because we yearn for the perfect way to do something. This is in part driven by the desire to do well and a deep fear of the consequences of not doing well. And also a somewhat naive and neurotic notion that if I don't do something really well, perfectly well, preach the best sermon, knock it out of the park every Sunday, attend to every pastoral need, grow our membership, exceed the stewardship goal, be a prophetic voice for justice on every issue under the sun, answer every email as soon as it hits the inbox, I would have failed miserably. In fact, to confess, I could not start writing this reflection until I had found the perfect story to begin my reflections with, and quotes, the perfect quotes to emphasize my message. So in the process, I felt paralyzed even to begin until late on Friday. Given the pressure we put on ourselves, the perfectionists, we tend not to let people see our mistakes or admit that we are fallible, that people may not sometimes see us as human. I've received so many wonderful compliments in the course of my ministry, how I walk on water. And I have really felt good about it. But the fact of the matter is, this is how perfectionism has been manifest and insidiously worked in the course of my ministerial career. So perfectionism is an affliction, detrimental to our mental and spiritual health and a threat to our personal relationships and our communal well-being. It is also a key component of our country's dominant culture. In a book entitled Dismantling Racism, Kenneth Jones and Timo Okun lay out several characteristics of white supremacy culture that are damaging to both BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color, and white people. They describe the perfectionism we encounter in our culture as little appreciation expressed for the work that others are doing. Appreciation that is expressed is usually directed to those who get most of the credit anyway. What is more common, they write, is to point out either how the person or work is inadequate, or to talk to others about the inadequacies of a person or their work without ever talking directly to them. And mistakes, they say, are seen to reflect badly on the person. Few resources are put into learning from mistakes, and there is a tendency to identify what is wrong with little ability to identify, name, and appreciate what is right. Now, perfection is also a prominent idea in Unitarian Universalism. Our UU forebears preached a message that emphasized the perfectibility of human nature. In the 19th century, when most mainline denominations imagined human sinfulness in stark contrast to God's perfection, Unitarians and Universalists proclaimed the good news that the seeds of divine perfection dwell within each person, that we all are endowed with inherent worth and dignity and divinity, and that we are called to cultivate them and honor them in each other in the course of our lives. That is wonderful. But we have at times tended to misinterpret this message, as the Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd wrote in a 2019 UU World essay. Liberal religious people, she wrote, not only tend to believe that we are called to perfection, but we also believe that we are already basically perfect, already basically converted, and already basically blessed. At times, we like to imagine these things without allowing for further conversations that might impinge on our freedom to be exactly as we already are and to do exactly what we have been doing all along, because we have been taught that we were meant to be perfect. Our lack of perfection brings deep fragility to both our spiritual lives and our partnerships for justice. Boom. There's another way I have struggled with the addiction to perfectionism in our movement. As a person of color, I have felt that I've had to be twice as good in comparison to my white colleagues in order to be able to survive and succeed in ministry. And this is not something that I have been affected. It is something that I know many of my colleagues of color also have to go through. Anyway, perfectionism fails to also acknowledge the beauty and success we experience and instead focuses more on the negatives. The Reverend Sarah Gibb Millspaugh, a member of the UUA's Pacific Western Region staff, shared what it was like growing up in what she called a fault-finding family. She writes, "It was one way my father's upper-class WASP culture and my mother's working-class Jewish culture came together, analyzing what was wrong. We would go to a phenomenal movie, but spend the car ride home talking about the not so good acting of one character. When I started preaching sermons," she writes, "I always could rely on an assessment of my mistakes from my parents. That was really good," they would say, "but your children's story was way too long, and your tone didn't match your message in this part or that part. Oh, and I did the same when it was my turn in the pew, taking the good for granted, finding the faults. In that way," she says, "we were perfect Unitarian Universalists, noticing, calling forth, calling out all that was not right, taking careful mental notes on what was not perfect in every work of art." End of quote. Lest you think that somehow Unitarian Universalists have a copyright on this issue, I want to share with you that I too grew up in a fault-finding family in India, where perfectionism was the only acceptable goal. I remember clearly one time getting 99% in a math exam, and my mother looking at my report card, handing it back and saying, "Why didn't you get 100%? Or her asking, "Who came first in class?" when I came second. So I resolved to be perfect and ran myself ragged when I couldn't, or carried the shame of feeling that however hard I tried, I would never measure up. I would never be good enough. But my own addiction to perfectionism has been tempered by my Hindu faith, which teaches that the divine spirit, the Atman, resides within each of us, and that the goal of life is to realize the spirit within ourselves and find communion with each other and with the larger self, or Brahman. Since we are human, we may not be able to accomplish this in a single lifetime, and therefore we are given multiple chances to go after it. So in Eastern traditions like the Hindu tradition, the spiritual project is to become more and more conscious of our true selves, to claim our divinity by being more fully human and humane, and to recognize and honor it in others. So, how do we break through perfectionism and celebrate our imperfect selves? Author Anne Lamott asks us to make a lot of mistakes. She writes, "Fall on your butt more often. Waste more paper, printing out your shitty first drafts and maybe send a check to the Sierra Club. Celebrate messes. These are where the goods are. Put something on the calendar that you know you'll be terrible at, like dance lessons, or a meditation retreat, or a boot camp. Find a writing partner who will help you with your work by reading it for you and telling you the truth about it with respect, to help you make it better and better for whom you will do the same thing. Find someone who wants to steal their life back too, now, today. One wild and crazy thing: wear shorts out in public if it is hot, even if your legs are milky, white, or heavy. Go to a poetry slam. Go to open mic and read the story you wrote about the hilariously god-awful family reunion with a trusted friend, even though it could be better and would hurt Uncle Ed's feelings if he read it, which he isn't going to. End of quote. Social researcher and author Dr. Brene Brown asks us to practice wholehearted living. In her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, she writes, wholehearted living is about engaging with our lives from a place of worthiness. It means cultivating courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. Our birthright as human beings is the gift of imperfection, not perfection. Without the trial of genetic mutation, we would not have evolved as a species. Without the error of experience, we would never learn and grow. Yet, many of us recoil from imperfection, denying or raging against our own, even as we tally, privately or publicly, the imperfections of others. We remember too well the red X's on our test papers, the harsh correction of elders or peers, the strict expectations of parents or teachers, until their draconian judgments become our own. Their impossible standards, our non-negotiable demands. Our perfectionism robs us of the fecund majesty of the flawed, the messy, the real. Like the velveteen rabbit, threadbare but beyond price. Perfectionism sets us up for disappointment and failure and heartbreak when the only real failure is the failure to learn and to grow, to forgive and to be forgiven. The secret of serenity is to find delight in what is. Definition, evaluation, judgment, criticism have their place, but not in our hearts, not in our hearts. I am what I am. That is the name the God of Moses gave themselves. And if we are made in God's image, it is our name too. I am what I am. Tattvam asi, say the Hindu Upanishads. That art thou, or you are what you are. I am enough, you are enough, we are enough. We don't have to be perfect, only human. Or, as the Reverend William Sloane Coffin said, I'm not okay, you're not okay, and that's okay. Isn't that a relief? You and I are lovable and already loved as we are. It is the essence of universalism. So let's practice it imperfectly and wholeheartedly. Let me close with a prayer from Dr. Brene Brown. May we find the courage to let go of who we think we are supposed to be so that we can fully embrace our authentic selves, the imperfect, the creative, the vulnerable, the powerful, the broken, and the beautiful. May we show ourselves and others the compassion that comes from knowing that we are all made of strength and struggle. May we create a just and equitable world where privilege isn't a prerequisite for self-expression and authenticity, where everyone feels invited and safe to express their power and their vulnerability. And last, may we experience the strength of connection, the love of belonging, and the grace of pure joy. And to that, we say, Amen.
You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do, oh Lord. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you've got to sing, oh Lord. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you've got to dance, oh Lord. You've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 You've got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You've got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you've got to laugh, oh Lord. You've got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. 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 You've got to shout when the Spirit says shout. You've got to shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you've got to shout, oh Lord. You've got to shout when the Spirit says shout. 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 You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do, oh Lord. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
All right. Thank you, Quartet. Our words of benediction are from the Reverend Beth Lefevre. We are whole even in the broken places, even where it hurts. We are whole even in the broken places, the places where fear impedes our full engagement with life, where self-doubt corrupts our self-love, where shame makes our faces hot and our souls cold. We are whole even in those places where perfectionism blunts the joy of full immersion into person, place, activity, where good enough does not reside except in our silent longings, where our gaps must be fast filled with substance, accomplishment, our frenzied activity, lest they gape open and disgust. We are whole, where we would doubt our own goodness, richness, fullness, and depth, where we would doubt our own significance, our own profoundness. We are whole even in our fragility, even where we feel fragmented, alone, insubstantial, and insufficient. We are whole. We are wholehearted, even as we are in process, even as we stumble, even as we pick ourselves up again, for we are whole. We are whole. Go in peace, go making peace. Live gently, love mightily, and bow to the mystery. So may it be. Blessed be.